Waters by Madeleine L'Engle, Chapter 5, The Nephilim. Deniz was sleeping fitfully when he heard the tent flap move. He opened his eyes and could see only the small light of a stone lamp coming toward him. He called out in alarm, "Who is it?" Yalith or Oholibama would not have needed the light. He felt a gentle pressure, something soft touching his arm, and realized that it was a mammoth. He vaguely remembered seeing a mammoth when he had been in the big tent. A bearded man squatted beside him. "We thought you might like Seraph, mammoth, for company now that you're getting better." "Thank you," Deniz said. "Who are you?" "Yalith's father, Noah." It was not always easy for Deniz to remember where he was. When his fever rose, he thought he was at home and dreaming. When his fever dropped, he understood dimly that somehow or other he and Sandy had precipitated themselves into a primitive desert world inhabited by small brown people. He remembered Yalith, the beautiful tiny person with amber hair and eyes who tended him gently. He remembered the slightly older person, and at least part of her name, Oholi, who poured first water and then unguents and oils onto his skin, and who seemed to know what to do to make him feel better. He remembered Japheth, Oholi's husband, who, like a shepherd, had carried Deniz to this tent, which he thought as a strange kind of hospital. He had not seen Yalith's father since he had been taken half dead from the big smelly tent to this smaller, quieter one. The piece of linen he had been given to lie on helped protect his raw, healing skin. Even so, it hurt to move. He shifted position carefully. My brother Sandy, how is he?" "Almost all well, I am told." Noah's deep voice was kind. The name had a familiar ring in this unfamiliar world, but Deniz could not place it in his fever-muddled mind. The man continued, "The women tell me he has made new skin. You, too, will be well soon." Deniz sighed. That was still hard to believe, with the remains of his skin coming back off in painful patches, leaving oozy misery until dark scabs formed. "When can I see my brother?" "As soon as you are well, not long." "Where is he?" "As you have been told, in my father Lamech's tent." "I keep forgetting." "That is from the sun fever." Yes, brain fever. I think it used to be called in India." "India?" "Oh, well, that's a place on our planet where the British, people with skin like mine, used to go, muck around with white man's burdens and stuff, and build an enormous empire. Anyhow, they couldn't take the sun, and their empire's gone. Thank you for taking such good care of me. How did you know the right things to do for burns?" "It was mostly common sense," the man said. "Oholibama could tell with her fingers how much fever you have, and we try to cool you accordingly, and she consulted with the Seraphim about the use of herbs." "Who are the Seraphim?" Denny asked. The stocky brown man smiled. "You are better. This is the first time you have asked questions." "You have been to see me before?" "Several times." Sella snuggled up against him, and he put his arm around her, and his skin was healed enough so that her fur did not scratch and hurt. "And Seraphim?" "They are the sons of El. We do not know where they came from or why they are here." "Are they angels?" "You have angels where you come from?" "No," Deniz said, "but we don't have mammoths or virtual unicorns either. I'm not as much of a skeptic as I used to be." "Skeptic?" "Someone who doesn't believe in anything and can't be seen or touched or proved 100%. Someone who has to have laboratory proof." "Lab what?" "Oh, well, I guess you can't prove virtual particles any more easily than you can prove virtual unicorns." "What kind of unicorns?" "Oh, just what I call them," the man interrupted. "Are you feverish again?" "No." Deniz touched the back of his hand with his cheek, which felt quite cool. "Sorry, your name is what?" "Noah! How many times do I have to tell you?" "Noah. Noah and the flood. So they were on their own Earth after all, and not in some far-flung galaxy. Somehow or other, he and Sandy had been flung back through time into the pre-flood desert. That was a lot better than being in some unknown corner of the universe, or was it? "I wish I had a Bible," he said. Perhaps you needed a drink of something cool? I'm all right. I'm sorry. There would not have been a Bible in Noah's time. Probably not even a written language, not yet. Neither Deniz nor Sandy had given much of their concentration to Sunday school. They didn't go in for stories. No, he remembered their mother reading to them every night until too much homework got in the way. What did she read? Stories, Greek and Roman myths, Indian tales, Chinese tales, African tales, fairy tales, Bible stories. Who was Noah? Noah and the flood. Noah built an ark and took his wife and their sons' wives and many animals onto the ark. What about Yalith? He couldn't remember anything about Yalith or Oholibama. Japheth, maybe that had a familiar ring. Shem, yes, maybe, but not Elisheba. Elisheba was all right. She had rubbed ointment all over him one day, matter-of-factly, when someone had taken Yalith and Oholi away, not flinching at the suppurating sores, the crusting scabs. She had talked, though, at and around him the day she had attended him in the hospital tent, and he remembered her muttering something about it being a shame to leave the old grandfather all alone in his tent, with only a mammoth to take care of him. Sela snuggled against Denny's shoulder. He continued to try to think. There was Shem, and there was Ham. He barely remembered a small pale man and a red-headed woman in the big tent the first night. Is Higgaion all right? He asked suddenly. Higgaion? Noah sounded surprised. He's helping take care of your brother. Are there many mammoths around? Denny asked. Very few. Many have been eaten by manticores, and most of the rest have fled to where they feel safer. Noah shook his head. It is a hard time for mammoths. Hard times are coming for us all. El has told me that. Dennis frowned. This pre-flood world was weird. Mammoths, manticores, virtual unicorns, seraphim, and... Who are the nephilim? He asked. Noah pulled at his beard. Who knows? They are tall and they have wings, though we seldom see them fly. They tell us that they come from El, and that they wish us well. We do not know. There is a rumor that they are like falling stars, that they may be falling stars flung out of heaven. Seraphim too? We do not know. We do not know how it is that their skin is young and not yet shriveled from the sun, though they are ageless, it would seem, older even than my grandfather Methuselah. Old as Methuselah, it had a familiar ring, vaguely. Then he shifted on Matred's linen cloth. The remnant of his bundle of clothes had been found and taken by Japheth and Oholibama to be aired and put away in this hot land. He would not need flannel shirts or cable-knit sweaters. He had been given a soft kid loincloth, and Yalith had told him that Sandy had been given one too. In this tent where he was recovering, the stench was less disturbing than in the big tent. Yalith had bathed him with water scented with herbs and flowers. Oholibama had rubbed him with fragrant ointment. Both young women were reticent about where they came by the perfumes, and Deniz thought he had heard Yalith saying something about Anna and Mala. Anna, Ham's red-headed wife, he reminded himself. Mala was Yalith's sister, who had appeared seldom came home. Who were all these people he did not remember as being part of the story? He needed Sandy. Sandy might be able to suggest some way for them to get home before the flood. How much had this El told Noah? Noah said, El has told me that these are the end times for us all. Perhaps we will have a great earthquake. An earthquake? Noah shrugged. The mind of El is a great mystery. Is he good, this El? Good and kind. Slow to anger, quick to turn and forgive. But you still think he's going to nuke everybody? What's that? You think he's going to send some big disaster and wipe everybody out? Noah shook his head. It is true, as El says, that people's hearts have turned to wickedness. Yalith isn't, Deniz said. Oholibamas and Japheths aren't. I'd be dead if it weren't for them. And for my wife Matred, Noah added. I might not have let you stay in my tents had it not been for Matred. He looked thoughtfully at Deniz. Sometimes I have wondered why I let the women insist on keeping you. But I think you mean us no harm. I don't. We don't. Listen, what about my brother? When can I see Sandy? As you have been told, he is in my father's tent. Noah's voice indicated that the subject was now closed. Have you seen him, Sandy? Deniz asked. I do not go to my father's tent. Why not? He is a stiff-necked old man insisting on staying alone in his own tent with his wells, the best in the oasis. But why don't you go and see him? Deniz was baffled. He is old. There's nearly time for him to die. He can no longer tend to his crops. But don't you help him? I have all I can do, taking care of my herds and my vineyards. But he's your father. He should not be so stubborn. Listen, he's taking care of Sandy all by himself. He doesn't have Yalith or a holy mama to do the nursing. Only the mammoth. One of the women takes him a light every night. But he's your father, Deniz protested. Wouldn't he appreciate it if you took him the nightlight? Before Noah's growl became audible, the tent flap shifted and a pelican waddled in, followed by Yalith. A pelican seemed a strange creature to appear in this desert place. The bird approached Deniz, then opened its enormous bill, and from it flowed a stream of cool, fresh water, filling the large bowl from which the women bathed him. Deniz asked, Hey, you've been here before, haven't you? Yalith spoke delightedly. He is truly better. He's remembering things. The water felt healing as Yalith dipped a cloth in it and cooled his skin. She knelt beside him with the wet cloth, touched some of the loosened scabs. They will soon be off, Deniz regarded the pelican. Where did the water come from? From Grandfather Lamech's, and the pelican has been kind enough to bring it to us, flying across the oasis. The pelican nodded gravely to Deniz. Do you have a name? The pelican blinked. Yalith said, When he is a pelican, we usually call him Pelican. When he is a pelican, what else is he? Don't confuse the young giant, Noah said. I can't be much more confused than I am, Deniz expostulated. It was a relief to know that he was still on his own planet. Even so, he felt lost, far from anything familiar. The pelican stretched its angled wings toward the roof hole, raised its beak, seemed to thin out and stretch upward, and suddenly a tall and radiant personage was looking down at Deniz. What? He gasped. A seraph, Yalith said. The glowing skin of the seraph was the color of Yalith's, and there were great silvery wings and hair the color of the wings. Was it a man? A woman? Did it matter? Yet with Yalith and a holy Bama, and even more with Anna, Deniz was very well aware that he was male and they were female. The seraph raised its wings, then dropped them loosely. Fear not. I am Alarid, and I have been helping with your healing. At last you are getting better. No, don't try to stand. You are still too weak. Strong arms enfolded Deniz. He was taken out of the tent and lowered onto a soft bed of moss. In the starlight, the moss shimmered like water. There, the seraph said. So, I am Alarid, and you are the Den. Deniz. Den is simpler. And your name is Alarid? And what about O Holy Bama? Alarid smiled gravely. I take your point, Deniz. Forgive me, now. I have conferred with my companion Adnarl, who has been helping take care of the sand. Sandy, Alexander. Alexander? Is there not an Alexander who wants to conquer the world? Not in our time, Deniz said, way back in history. Not as far back as now, but back. Ah, Alarid said, I tend to see time in pleats. Now, Deniz, there seems to be considerable confusion over who you are and what you are and why you are here.